In simplistic terms, the expert investigation and analysis begins with your first conversation with an attorney or a client. As I said earlier, you should always sign a letter of engagement with an attorney or his law firm. A portion of the time, the eventual client is the one who makes the first contact with you. He or she makes the expert witness selection, usually when the client themselves wants to be sure that the expert truly understands the technical matter at hand. The client may then suggest that his attorney hire you as the expert. Early contact like this, as well as ongoing contacts with the client, can lead to some interesting problems that you should know about in advance. During preliminary conversations, this client may chat with you about their case. The client may, at those times, reveal to you company confidential information that he should not have. This might happen during the very first conversation with you, before they've even hired you, or it may happen a month or a year later during a subsequent conversation about the case with you. As an important tactic, you should not chat with the client about the case, at least not alone. You may chat with the attorney and the client simultaneously, because that conversation is privileged and you will not have to reveal the contents of the conversation to the other side. However, opposing attorneys are allowed to ask you questions about the content of any conversations you have with the client alone. The revelations that come from that kind of testimony are not always desirable, so don't plan to be friends with your client during the case. The same is true for an occasional conversation that you may have with persons that work for the other side. You may chat with another expert, a client, or a researcher during a meeting. The less you say to anyone on the other side, the better. Not talking to anyone else about the case, other than your attorney, is actually best. This caution is even truer if the other expert happens to be a fellow professional with whom you're familiar. You may even be friends already, but the best advice to follow is simply to be polite and avoid unnecessary conversation. You can be friends again after the case. By the way, timeliness and punctuality are themselves characteristics of professionalism. Arriving late to meetings in a large corporation or in a community volunteer setting may be commonplace for you, but that behavior will not stand you in good stead as an expert witness. You want to convey your professionalism to those who have hired you at great expense. This begins with attention to schedules and continues with your presence at meetings on time. It further encompasses the analysis and research needed to come to your opinions as speedily as possible.